vegetarians. Hello, if anybody has just come over from Instagram, welcome if this is your first time to Coffee Moaning. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button because we do loads of stuff on here and then you can always know when we're up if you hit the notification bell too.
So
I want a big cushion. So yeah,
nice
welcome. And if you're brand new here, show us some hand-waving emojis so we can welcome you.
Show us some love.
Show us some love.
Wave those funny little yellow hands that the emojis do.
I'm just going to finish doing something here, but I want to be with you, so I'm still going to be here and I'll be able to talk in about 5 minutes.
Morning, Sabrina. Morning, Xander. Morning, Nanny Di. Nanny Di's in the
Hi,
room.
Nanny Di.
How? It's not sunny in Shadwell, Mum. Your book review in the Sunday show was epic and brilliant. I've just finished editing. I'm the closest I've been yet at 11:30 to the Sunday show being ready to go.
Yay.
So our new family guest, Louise Murray, you will have a treat when that lands later. Always keep checking the community tab to know when it's going to land. Although obviously it takes, because it's so long, I think today's episode is an hour and 45 minutes. An hour and 45 minutes of broadcast level programming and editorial. I have to say, a big pat on the back to you and a pat on the back to you lot because you give us the impetus to make it. So thank you. Mark Oakerby managed a 7K run this morning. Bloody hell, that is a wow.
Well done.
That is brilliant. That is a fabulous. I wish I could run at the moment, but I have this strange niggle in my right calf. And it's one of those niggles that, you know, when you sometimes go to the park and you see people who are running and they have strange bits of tape on their legs. I think I might just be hankering after a bit of tape for my leg. So there you go. It looks so strange without the Christmas decorations. It so does, doesn't it, my madhouse in Wales? I hope you're well, darling. I hope you're good. Yeah, I feel like we're sort of rattling around in a sort of bare, you know, that Christmas tree sort of was, yeah, they made it sort of warmer, if nothing else. Rachel Louise, you're a bit hungover this morning. That's fine. I presume you weren't doing dry January. Tim Reed managed to walk to the sofa. That, you know, any movement is better than none, Tim. Today, it's the 31st, isn't it, today? So it's the last day of dry January. So a difficult day for some because sometimes for some people, relaunching their relationship with alcohol after a month off is where it gets tricky. Do you know what I mean? So thought goes out to them. Well done to anyone who's managed to do it because any control on out of control drinking is good. So yeah, you've probably noticed one of the stories that's kind of cropped up in a lot of places today is this debate around the flu. And it's like, I just thought it was worth us all having a natter about this because it's like the flu has become a dirty word. It's like if you say flu, like if you suggest that there's no flu, you're kind of suggesting COVID's flu and all that kind of stuff. But that's not the case. But I mean, studies show that the flu has been almost completely wiped out this winter, which leads to quite a number of quite quick assumptions that we can make about things, can't we? As in, for example, I think a lot of people who would have been vulnerable to the flu this year perhaps were vulnerable to COVID. It's not entirely dissimilar. It's obviously more vicious. But also there's a lot of talk about the fact that all of the efforts that we've been making around social distancing, lockdowns, quarantines, all this kind of stuff has necessarily meant we haven't been subjected to lots and lots of germs, which in turn has led to this is just, I'm interested in this. I don't think this is anything to worry about. This is quite interesting. That a lot of the people who manufacture the flu vaccines don't have enough info on this year's flu germs in terms of generating their next flu vaccine. So there's just curious, isn't it? It's just fascinating. I do think it's fascinating. Being a virologist or an immunologist must be an absolutely fascinating job because where you make progress in one, so you think it's a good thing that the flu's not there, but actually it could be a bad thing for flu. Do you know what I mean? So there could be a resurgence of flu next year because maybe social distancing can loosen up. So it's a curious one, that, isn't it? Minky Moo, not sharing cutlery, food is definitely going to have effect. It is the germ thing. Faith Goodman, I think flu has been prevented by washing hands, social distancing, masks. Yeah, so not surprised. It's not surprising. It's because of it's also, they are saying there was increased flu vaccine uptake and increased hand hygiene. Alison Craig, you're absolutely right. Erin Bullimore, COVID has taken a lot of would-be flu deaths and our social distancing and shielding measures will have gone a long way to preventing it spread. I agree. I agree. Yeah, Nads is just finishing what she's writing.
here.
She's here. Don't worry, she's coming back. She's coming back. Oh, Nicola Randall, all of our thoughts with you, darling. A joint funeral tomorrow. That's just awful. Just awful in these conditions. I mean, much earlier on in the crisis, there was a funeral within the family that had to happen, and it was just awful in these conditions, isn't it? It's just awful. What else have we got? Sally Griffin, germs have nowhere to go like us. Yeah, it's a curious one, isn't it? Because I suppose one of my, because we have time on our hands and we're sort of sitting there and occasionally we're sort of like, idly thinking, oh, what the hell are going to be some of the weird sort of byproducts of all of this stuff? I do wonder about how important it is that we are all being bombarded daily by lots and lots of germs so that we build up natural immunities to so many things. So I do think we need to be careful that we don't end up becoming an entirely and totally socially distanced society. I think it's really key that we are, in a sense, rubbing up against each other. Maybe not rubbing up against each other literally, because that's illegal. But you know what I mean? Rubbing up against each other and being forced to kind of have things, sniffles. I mean, the thing about sniffles and coughs and snot and all that kind of stuff is that it encourages, low-level resistance. But now we're in this situation where we've become so hypersensitive to anything. We don't want to be, I suppose, we don't want to get a control on COVID and then get bitten on the arse by a virulent flu virus. Do you know what I mean? What do you think about it, guys? Do you think that's... I mean, I know, because you get shot down if you say in any way the COVID deaths are kind of, some of those deaths would have been the deaths that flu would have presumably taken. But we have kind of evidence now that this is the case. And it's being reported in the Times that the number of people suffering from flu plunged by 95%, get this, to levels not seen in more than 130 years. Jesus bejesus. Yeah, me too, absolutely. How could flu propagate in a lockdown environment? It's not a big mystery. In fact, what I would say is to any of those people who say that COVID is nothing but the flu, therein rests the evidence, if you like, that it's not. Because despite everything we've done has proved to successfully combat the spread of flu. And yet everything we've done has still resulted in this terrible catastrophic number of deaths. So in a weird way, the fact that there's been no flu numbers is evidence of the sort of voracious efficacy of coronavirus in a sense, isn't it? So you're right, YouTube. There's no rocket science here, but I think sometimes, unless you're backed up with a report or you're backed up with statistics of some form that are reliable, everyone starts to get a bit tetchy, don't they? So there's that. One of the other stories, of course, though, let me ask you, I love our little binary yes-no questions, guys. Thank you, Muriel Taylor, just saying what a great Cornwall vlog it was. Do you think, here's a yes-no, I'm trying to think of the way to put the yes-no question. Do you think we should have social distancing until the end of the year? I mean, full social distancing until the end of the year. Do you think we should? Not will we, do you think we should? And whilst you all answer, I'm just going to drink my incredibly strong coffee. Yep, I'd say we're looking at about 80% yeses. Oh no, quite a few no's there. Nicole Marcella, Miss Spice, Xander, no. Selena Lufog, no. Steph for mine, no. Coffee addict, absolutely right, Xander. No. Oh, a lot of no's, we shouldn't. I don't mean lockdown, I mean socially distance, maintaining social distancing. So that when you go into shops, we all get hypersensitive about being incredibly close to each other. If you knock into someone, everyone goes like you've burnt them and all that kind of stuff. Where this new normal that we've got to, where, if I stand in a queue and someone comes near me, it's like they've called me the most awful name. Where's that come? I mean, isn't it amazing how quickly we've all changed? Well, I mean, so it's kind of, actually, there's a lot more no's. It's probably 60-50. The Telegraph reporting this morning, exclusive, so, it's got to be true, isn't it? Social distancing may have to remain in place all year. Britain may not be able to abandon social distancing rules this year unless a vaccine proves to be 85% effective at stopping transmission. Now, The only thing that could really stop the vaccines from being 85% effective, if you were to look to Israel for evidence, is if huge swathes of the population don't take up the vaccine, unfortunately. I mean, that's the unknowable element of the whole thing. I think we are going to start to get figures on how efficient it is. We don't know to what extent in Israel. I mean, other things that kind of muddy the water with Israel's statistics that are potentially very positive is we don't know how much of the Kent variant they've got in Israel. Obviously, it's the dominant one here. So we've got to be guarded. I mean, I know I was jumping up and down with joy about the Israel news on Friday, but it kind of dawned on me afterwards that actually maybe they haven't got any cases of because they've been quite strident on their border control. But if we hit 85%, so there are a couple of things that could tamper with that. It's the efficacy of, it's how variants can kind of beat the vaccines, how efficient they are against the variants, how long our immunity lasts, and take up of the vaccine. And yeah, it's a curious one, vaccine take up. I overheard Nadia talking about it at some point somewhere. It's a curious one, isn't it? Because you've got to, on the one hand, it's a really hard balancing act between respecting everyone's right to decide what happens to them. What says Michael Gove said UK would share vaccine with Europe as much as they could, because yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that. There was a bit of a moment, wasn't there, last night or the night before, where the EU just sort of went a bit kind of batshit crazy. Yeah, it's a tricky one, the whole vaccine thing, because I'm a big believer in that you should have the choice. But I tell you what I find really confusing, and a lot of people who don't want the vaccine, is when, and this isn't me kind of positioning myself on this, I'm just curious to know what the logic is behind this. A lot of people who are refusing the science, if you like, behind the vaccines, I mean, I think there's a debate to be had around finance and big pharma and all that kind of stuff, but people who are resisting the science, a lot of those people, do those people not use any other form of medicine? And if they do, to what extent do they know everything about how the medicine they're taking has been developed and its efficacy and all that kind of stuff? Do you see what I mean? I suppose what I'm trying to say is, why is there such a rush to be suspicious of one type of medicine when there's a whole range of medicines for things like heart disease, cancer, all sorts of things that we take on trust? We take on trust that when we wouldn't all go to doctors otherwise. We'll go to the doctor, they'll advise, even right down to paracetamol. We trust if we take a paracetamol. We don't go into an analysis of how long that particular drug or medicine has been researched. We don't even ask the question of how long it's been on. It's like when I go for, here's an example, because I was one of the cautious ones about the whole vaccine thing. But then I thought, well, I've never asked a question about my asthma inhalers. I've never gone into it in the same depth. I've never gone into, well, how do they, what's the potency and what are they made of and do they help and how does the steroid one work and all that. I've just trusted they've given me something. And so it's not that we shouldn't question everything, but it's curious that we don't question other things, but we are questioning this when there is a pretty much guarantee, there's quite a high guarantee that for a number of people, even if you get it and you don't suffer long-term illness with this, it's not pleasant. Do you know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not, there are so, I suppose, again, like with my mum's had the vaccine. She's not a vaccine sort of, not denier. She's not a vaccine querier even. She never has been. But say she was, but she was taking blood pressure tablets. A lot of people don't ask the questions about drugs that we're readily receiving at the moment. And so I think, so what I would suggest is if we've got people around us who are saying, no, it's like maybe ask the question of them, well, have you queried every drug you've been offered by your doctor? No. You don't know how long it's been on the market even. You don't even know whether it's gone through. Have you ever asked for the efficacy percentage of every drug you've had prescribed for you with antibiotics? So I just think it's quite a strong, not argument to pressurize anyone, but I think it allows for a reasonable debate, because my worry is, I think Nadia mentioned this the other day, and she's got a really good point, that there was the Brexit thing that splits families. There's the behaviour in lockdown that is really splitting friends and families. But then there may well be this next fissure that sort of develops or cracks of attitudes to vaccine. I think that could be the next thing. And I think approaching it like that might be a way of reducing conflict, Because people get very aerated, don't they? I'm not taking it. It's been forced. Well, hang on. But if you were in the hospital and you had a bad, you wouldn't say that about the anaesthetic, and you wouldn't say it about. Do you get me? That's just how I don't know. I'll be curious to know. I'd be curious to have Nadia's thoughts on that when she heads over. So yeah, it's just a thought. I just think sometimes we need to get out of this binary kind of row from one side to the other, and just have a bit more of a sort of reasonable and realistic and rational discussion about the whole bloody thing. Nadia's good. She's coughing. You're coughing. People are asking, are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a persistent cough. Faith Goodman, I think religious leaders, especially from BAME neighbourhoods, should be photographed having it if they have it, so that the BAME can be. There's a big push in various ethnic groups with sort of famous people from within those groups to push people taking it. I mean, that's not to say there aren't huge suspicions, and that's not to say that there are huge questions, and that's not to say that we shouldn't be interrogative. We absolutely should. But when people get quite sort of, when you get to a place where, you know, you're sort of so, not angry, but people get very sort of aerated about it. I think, you know, I think you should. I think you should be able to sort of present that as a sort of opposing thought. Sally Griffin, my friend in Kennington had the jab aged 64 because the elderly in her borough have refused the vaccine and her doctor didn't want to waste. Really? Wow. So what you're saying is that perhaps some of the people who are younger, who are being offered the vaccine, they're popping up sooner because so many people are resisting having it. See, that's, I suppose, slightly one of my concerns. I mean, interestingly, you know, I think running alongside the whole vaccine thing should be as much transparency and advertising and discussion about all the alternative things. So, for example, things like vitamin D. You know, I think everyone should be equipped with all options. So what is the truth about vitamin D? You know, diet, gut, you know, the state of your gut, all that kind of stuff, weight, you know, unseen fat and all that kind of stuff. I think everything, we need to know everything. And that would be better. Millie Parfit, I think it's scary purely because of the rush. I have a fear that if it caused something awful to happen to me, my husband, my young kids would be alone. That's, yeah, I get what you're saying about it being rushed. But again, I sort of go back to the argument of, I don't know how, I mean, you know, we assume that most drugs aren't rushed. But the idea that, yes, they've moved quickly with these, but the development of these vaccines has been built upon a long sort of running narrative, if you like, of development, which has just been steered in a different direction. So I don't think the technology, if you like, is quite as new as we think. Welcome Julie Neal and Louise Murray as new family guests. Erin Bullymore. The government has done absolutely nothing to dispel misinformation about vaccines. There was a dangerous rise in cases of MMR a few years ago because of it. All the checks have been put in place. Nicola Randall. Oh, no. Safety has been paramount. Safety checks are rigorous for new vaccines. Oh no, I think her computer's died. Oh. It should be there. Just turn it on. It should all come back. Drew Haylett, not sure having social distancing around for another full year will be good for some businesses who have been shut. Yeah, I mean, obviously on a business perspective, it won't be good. We talked today in the Sunday show about an outdoor theatre that's opening. It's a new outdoor theatre that's being built, and they're catering for social distancing, and they can reach to 200 people. I mean, I think there's going to be a shift and a change in the ambition and scope of, say, theatrical productions and things like that as we look forward, because they're not going to be able to sell as many tickets. Do you know what I mean? I'm concerned, what was that? Sorry, I've lost you. I'm concerned about the spread it started. Paul Jones, I'm concerned about the speed of it being developed, but I will take it when offered, as it's the key out of all of this. To me, it's worth any potential risk. I mean, I think that's where, on balance, I feel. On balance, I feel like that. I'm sure it's, you know, I'm sure lots of people would argue it's not the greatest way to do it and all that kind of stuff, but for me, I feel comfortable doing it, but also taking the vitamin D and all of that. Is it still there?
Don't know yet.
Henrietta Henson, we are a drug-pushing country. Doctors give out way too many tablets. When we took my elderly mother to the doctors and asked why she was on them, the new doctor did not know and stuck 9 tablets off. Now, running alongside this, of course, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the increasing resistance diseases have to antibiotics. So there is a balancing act to be found here. And I think we're going to be faced with what that balancing act is with COVID. So, for example, let's toy with this as an idea. We get a grip on COVID, we lose our resistance to flu, and flu overtakes COVID when we all come back out as a more virulent form of flu. So we've got to have a balance between naturally developed inbuilt kind of resistances and protecting the vulnerable and using drugs in such a way that they don't societally make us so dependent on them that we become vulnerable to something else. God bloody hell. I mean, that is such a tricky balancing act. I mean, if I think back to my granddad, who had massive heart problems, but in the end he had diabetic problems, and I remember one of his doctors just a couple of years before he died saying we have an ever more complicated balancing act between 8 different drugs of kind of upping one, reducing another, upping one, reducing another. And they said, but it's a case of ever diminishing returns in terms of the body. They can only keep doing so much. It's like keeping all your plates spinning. So I think we're going to societally have the same thing. And I do think at some point there will have to come a point where once the most vulnerable are protected, the rest of us kind of have to re-imbue our sort of natural immune systems once again. Sabrina Neal, my doctor had been prescribing me a particular medication for about 2 years now, and it's only meant to be taken for 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, I mean, you know, and also like some of these, right down to things like antidepressants, you know, you're not supposed to actually be on certain types of them for very long. And I was never monitored, you know, I was on them beyond the original prescription. Reese Roberts, how are you, Reese? We need transparency with regards to Boris releasing the overdue information. Oh, where have you gone? Just flew up. On the BAME community as black people, and as black people, our medical treatment is generally a negative one, and so it's a valid concern. Yet there needs to be more statistics, there needs to be more info, there needs to be more background and facts given to us. You're absolutely right. Katie Greening, oh, that's interesting. Guernsey, we had 7 months living restriction free. Last Saturday, we entered a full sharp lockdown after just 4 cases unlinked to travel were found in the community. What does that mean? It does make you wonder, doesn't it? It does make you wonder how, when I hear those, you sort of, when people hear about places that haven't had anything brought in and there's a resurgence of it, everyone sort of sits there and goes, oh, don't they? Everyone kind of goes, what does that actually mean? Does that mean it's laden dormant for a long time? What are their thoughts, Katie Greening? What are the Guernsey authorities saying about that? Lynn Aoki, they are letting fans into the Australian Open tennis, 30,000 a day. Be interesting to see how it all pans out the next couple of weeks. Oh, right, okay. That will be curious. Julie Neal, your head is small. It's good to know. Remember, guys, Judy Grindle, the Spanish flu went from February 1918 to April 1920. It did, but they lacked the scientific expertise that we have and the infrastructure. Neil PR, I'm hopeful for this outdoor theatre idea. My good friend Katie Lipson is one of the parties behind the plan. As a theatre producer and promoter, I found hope in the idea. Yeah, I do too. I think there should be, there's Regent's Park open air. The Globe, you would hope and think, would be a good one. What else have we got? Minky Moo, lots of malnutrition in 1918 too. I mean, again, I go back to our discussion earlier in the week. I do think, I mean, after this UK-EU spat, you know, I mean, the EU have been caught really on the hoof, haven't they? I do think we need to avoid this, nah, we're doing better than you sort of situation. But I do think there needs to be some kind of global, potentially some global coordination of treating the most vulnerable. I mean, I suppose where you get into sort of all sorts of problems with that is in some of the poorer countries, the naturally most vulnerable reaches a much bigger number because the country's poorer, I guess. Going back to your point, Minky Moo, about malnutrition. Francesca Bastos, Vienna had 31 different protests planned for the weekend and many had to be forbidden. Wow. We wouldn't question Mayboo. We wouldn't question doctors trying to save us with drugs. God forbid we get COVID badly. Ann Comer. Nadia! She's over there. She's over there. People are she's feeling your love, guys. She's feeling your love. She's hitting a deadline over there. Charlotte Roberts says, Nanny Di done the garden birdwatch this weekend. What's the garden birdwatch? Is it like a national birdwatch? There's something when you go from all of that and then you get something like birdwatching, it becomes so devoid of worry, doesn't it? Suddenly birdwatching sounds like such a lovely thing. Such a lovely thing. Miss Dunn, come on, Mark. What? What? Miss Dunn, what? Come on, what? Can we all just go to the North Pole? Been there, you don't want to go there, it's very cold. Very, very cold, Gabrielle. Oh, Nanny Di's just done a little house. She just sent a house emoji. Mum, did you know you sent a house emoji? Drew Haler, what do you think about festivals this year? As even though Glastonbury has been cancelled, others are still saying they're going ahead, such as Download, Reading and Leeds. I don't know what to think of it. I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, I don't know whether they're saying, I don't know. I literally don't know. I don't know how. Natasha Milchin, I had a dream last night that my boyfriend and I got the Pfizer jab. Boyfriend is Nadia's age and I'm 39 and Russian, so there'd be no way, sadly. Oh, but God, I was happy. The Mrs. Nikki's XX, the death toll in this country highlights our overall aged society with poor overall health. Someone was saying that on LBC yesterday. Someone phoned in and said, we're basically a really unhealthy country. That's why we have so many deaths. What do you think, guys? Why do you think we've been hit the worst? You can say your answer. Is it government? Is it national? Is it our health? Why do you think, I love Nanny Di. Nanny Di's random emojis are so funny, aren't they? Mum, I'm gonna have to have an emoji chat with you. Because she has one of those old fashioned phones because she still hasn't gravitated to the smartphone that we've said to her you can have. Government, bit of everything, health, lifestyle. Oh, Nanny Di, didn't mean to hit emojis. Oh, Mum, you had us all thinking you were on top of it. Combination of all, obesity, government. Combination, I think, I mean, it's like all these things, isn't it? It's a combination of many things, I think. We are an unhealthy country. I mean, it was interesting, when Nadia drifted off to her sort of tranquil place of sleep last night, and just beyond her was the sound of John Campbell, who I have to confess has become a bit of a guilty pleasure for me at night now. I quite like listening to him as I fall off to sleep. But he's very insistent that despite the numbers going down in America and despite the kind of feeling of things being unlocked in America, he's really worried that he thinks that there's a time bomb about to go off regarding the variant. He thinks it's about to go big. I mean, and he's still saying that. And he's not one for hyperbole or drama, is he? The reason I know the word hyperbole is when I was at school and I wrote too much in one of my English essays, my teacher said to me, too much hyperbole. And I thought he meant like the Super Bowl. And he said, it's not hyperbole as in American football. It's hyperbole. So I've never forgotten that. It's funny, isn't it? When you get slapped around the face, metaphorically, by a teacher, you don't forget it, do you? Do you know what I mean? Me too, do you like that? Yeah. He also told me my sentences are far too long, so halve them. Throw in full stops. That's why Maddie says, you're very verbose, Dad. You do go on. Can you give me a shout out, please? I joined yesterday. Julie Hilton. Julie Hilton. Julie Hilton. Oh, thanks, Karen T. You love my verbosity. It really hurts on a Sunday, though. It's really itchy. Miss Dunn, you're on the Johnson & Johnson trial. Wow. Second jab on Saturday, probably placebo, treatment early at home, so not in hospital like a lot of states now in USA now, international relations. Wow, you're on the Johnson & Johnson. Yeah, of course, you won't know if you've got the placebo or not, will you? So Nanny Di, what are you up to this afternoon, Nan? Mum? Me and Nanny Di are watching a movie called The Dig, starring Kerry Mulligan and Rafe Fiennes. And it's actually about an Anglo-Saxon dig, archaeological dig, that, in fact, me and Kiki were learning about not so long ago. I think it's revolving around the ship that they found with the Anglo-Saxon helm. Anyway, It's a film. It's on Netflix. We're going to be reviewing it. If you want to be part of that review so you can contribute to the conversation, do go and watch it. Karen Busby, it's a great film. Do you like it? Oh, good. Dear Heart, The Dig. Do go and check it out because me and Nan will, and we're going to review it next week. Here, Mackay Smith. Mark, I can never say it. Hydroxychloroquine is a safe, effective treatment, but NHS governments are withholding it as Valence and Whitty have shares in pharmaceutical. It's funny, I mentioned that yesterday to Nadia. It's like, I think what happened with that was simply because Trump said it. It was then not, I mean, I think it's about dosage. I think it's about something to do with that. But Nanny Di, spoiler, don't tell us what you think yet. Yeah. So do you know what I mean? I think we want to in this year is not just close down discussions because someone we don't necessarily agree with it came from there. Do you know what I mean? I think we should just all be more receptive to lots more ideas. Personally, hit the thumbs up, guys. Hit the thumbs up. There's over 1,300 of you in there, out there, up there, under there, and you've all been so patient. I think Nadia is really bashing up against her limits over there. Bless her. She's pounding the. She's like that. She's like. Drew Haler, I work with special needs children in school, college, and I'm very worried about going back as the age group I work with is 16 plus. I have to normally work one-to-one with someone. Very worried about returning. I'm not surprised. Yeah, thoughts going out to you, Drew. Susan Baxter, government, underlying problems, suicide, COVID, cancer. Those are right, those are all the byproducts. Russ Souch, hope you're well. Claire Smiley, I give in here. Don't give in. We love you, Claire. Sorry, that's the first time I've seen your name go up. Oh, Nikki, so worry. Hope you're okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Nikki. Haven't seen your thing, Nikki. Yeah, hit the thumbs up, guys. Do subscribe if you haven't subscribed. There's always lots of content landing, and as I say, normal vlogs are going to be resuming once Cornwall is out of the way. It's the first month has gone, January. We allow ourselves a little bit of a break after the intensity and full-onness of December. We have been planning on doing showbiz news, but there just isn't that much fascinating showbiz news, really, to be honest with you. Trevor Goddard, I've not had a cold for a long time. Lucy Gale, hello. Miss Dunn, bureaucracy, could not prescribe ivermectin, hydroxy with Trump and with Biden, politics rubbish. My jab is on Tuesday, forgive me. There's no need to forgive you. There was an outbreak of the plague in San Francisco in 1907, Erin Bullimore. The government bungled the entire thing. It was only brought under control when a virologist implemented quarantine measures. Really? Wow, good God. Hi, Trina Cotton. Masks have helped, absolutely. Now, you've got in the title there, this was kind of like for Nads to chat about, but Love Island 2021 is being touted and talked about as the biggest one yet. Now, I'm sure quite a few of you aren't huge fans. Now, my relationship with Love Island is this. I always do that face, nah, not watching that. Nah, what load of old rubbish.
And then you always watch it.
And then all I do for the rest of the week is nag as to, please tell me if I'm editing when Love Island starts. Can you tell me when Love Island stops? And so I'm one of those classic, what they call in the trade, over-the-shoulder watchers. You know, you aim a program at a particular demographic, but then you have the over-the-shoulder viewer. I'm the over-the-shoulder viewer. Well, I'm no longer the over-the-shoulder viewer. I'm the put my feet up on the footstool, get me bowl of popcorn, tuck in, knowing I've got John Campbell now to listen to later, alongside Nads. It's like a menage a trois with John Campbell. It's like an oral, as in ear, guys, menage a trois with the Campbell. That could have gone horribly wrong there. That's exactly what I'm thinking, Erin C. A bit of escapism for the summer if we were still in lockdown. I don't think we will be, but because I think there's going to be issues with being able to go abroad, I do think it's going to provide us with a much needed sort of, what's the word? We can sort of, you know, a sort of daydream as to what holidaying might be like in 2022, perhaps. I'm just seeing a little pop-up film on the Metro website saying, WHO investigating origins of COVID visits second Wuhan hospital. I reckon they'll be allowed into the cafe to have a cup of tea, and that'll be it.
Oh.
the WHO at the second hospital. I mean, how much are they going to be? I mean, the whole thing is an absolute joke. The WHO actually going there and pretending they're doing anything objective when we know that they've been guided in and guided out is an absolute joke. We're not going to be able to trust a thing they say. It's going to be meaningless.
They got some films actually on Sky the other day of some Chinese citizens, you know, that had lost their family and almost dying. They said, please, please look for us, talk to us.
Yeah.
You won't get the truth.
Of course they won't. Are they going to be able to talk to everyday people? No,
They're
because
not
the
even
everyday citizens are in jail.
Yeah.
Hello,
everybody.
Here she is. I was just sharing about...
Hello, everybody.
Just sharing about Love Island. I've got to go to the loo. I've been sitting here squirming. I'm just going to pop to the loo.
Okay. And then I'm going to get a coffee.
And you may want to sing out Louise Murray and Julie Neal.
Louise Murray, welcome to the family guest area. Louise Murray, welcome to the family guest area. Louise Murray. There you go. And who's the other one? Julie Neal, fabulous, fabulous, Julie Neal, fabulous, fabulous, Julie Neal. Welcome to the family guest area. Oh, so I know Mark was chattering away there, but I didn't hear a word of what he said because I'd missed a deadline. I thought the deadline was for 10 o'clock Monday and it was for 10 o'clock Sunday, so that's why I was in a panic over there. Thank you, Mel W. John Campbell does not like homeopathy, I noticed. No, he doesn't. But I love homeopathy. I absolutely love homeopathy. For so many things, it has been the answer for me. But I see it as a complementary medicine. I wouldn't like not go to hospital if I was dying. You know, I'm going to have the vaccine. But I am a great believer in homeopathy. I've been using homeopathy for 20 years and I have seen remarkable results with it. Absolutely remarkable. Mark, tell them how brilliant the remedies are for your cough when you actually take them and you have the right one. How brilliant are the remedies, homeopathic remedies? For
Really good, but they're doing nothing for my skin.
What do you mean?
Well, I just feel my palate. I just have these moments where
I think you're a bit tired.
Feel
tired.
a bit saggy.
He's tired, he's saggy, he's worn out, he's worn down.
We've finally got a control of my eyebrow hair. This looks really good.
Very naughty.
And just a bit saggy around the neck. Can homeopathy do anything for skin?
Well, we can try.
Yeah.
So, here, what have we got going on here? Mark, you look silly, says Nicola Randall. But Nicola Randall likes you being silly. You need a facial mark, says someone somewhere.
Oh, some of his eyebrow hair has just gone into my mouth.
What's MeTube says it's E equals MC2, man. What's that?
E equals MC squared.
Oh, MC squared. What? What were you talking about?
I don't know.
Oh. Oh my God, heart me there, Mark. That terrified me, said Aaron. Sabrina Neal. Oh, I bounced you up. Sorry, Sabrina. Please give my wife Nicola a shout out. Nicola Hay. She loves you guys. Nicola Hay.
Nicola Hay.
Welcome, Nicola Hay. You should wear the mask for getting the vaccine.
Oh my God, that's such a good idea.
Shuffle in.
I should shuffle in.
What do you think about people that have hit that link and gone and got their vaccine earlier than they should do?
Hit what link?
There was a link being passed around and it was a way of scooting around the back and pretending you were in national.
Okay,
were
we talking about this yesterday? About this?
No, that's different.
Oh, right.
It's like if there's leftover vaccines that are going to go in the bin, I think anyone should have them rather than go in the bin.
I'm really struggling with his eyebrow hair.
Last week there was this link passing around that people could click onto and then it was a way of booking in a vaccine as if you were a national health. They've shut it down now, but loads of people... I mean, how could you live with yourself?
I think that's terrible.
Don't you think?
Of course I
I've got to
do.
get a hot drink. I was
absolutely
really
awful.
shocked by that.
Yeah.
But there was quite a few people at work talking about it, going, well, if nobody knows, I wouldn't be able to live with myself.
Xander's asked for a group hug.
Hi, Xander.
She'll come back and give us a group hug. Oh, she's coming in now. Group hug.
Ah. Oh my goodness, you've been on here for 40 minutes.
I know.
You need to get on.
Okay.
get
So
my drink now. I'll get it
the
later.
Sunday show is in this computer. So I'm at the final point, and we need to start uploading. It's going to be much earlier, as long as Wi-Fi permits, than normal.
Also tonight I am doing a live cook on Instagram with Joe Swash. I'm teaching him how to make sweet and sour chicken.
Oh,
This
that'd
has
be
been a direct request from Stacey because she's
at her wit's end, is
because
she?
all he does is make mama spaghetti.
Oh,
she said we
bless
have
her.
it about 4 times a week. She's
Oh.
going mad. So I'm taking him off piece.
Oh, take him off.
Have you ever
Peace.
met Joe?
No, I haven't met
Oh,
Joe.
you
No.
love Joe,
No.
Mark. He's the nicest
He
guy.
seems like a very nice
So that's
chap.
live tonight on Instagram.
Tasha Payne said, "I thought, does that man that walked past with the mask on know they're doing a live?"
What man? Oh, you. Can I just ask you something, right? If I'm doing this cooking live, and I'd like your opinion on this too, Mark, and I'm teaching him how to cook it, cook something, should he just have the ingredients and I'm telling him what to do, or should he be watching me cooking and doing it?
He's not going to be able. It's going to be very hard for him to watch you and cook.
So I'll have it already done, so you can see what a lovely
I
finished
think get
dish
him
is.
to have all the ingredients out, and you tell him what to do.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because I
And-
was going to initially, I thought, no,
And
it's
potentially,
so
I would
difficult.
have see if. I mean, is there anyone there who can film him whilst
I
he's
hope
doing
so.
it? Yeah, because otherwise you're both
Stacey?
going to be. Yeah. I think that's your best.
Or
best
maybe
route.
Zaki, the eldest one.
That'll be
He might
fun.
like to-
Everyone, yeah, tune in for that. That'll be fun. Is
And-
that on
and
your
if we-
Instagram?
Yeah, that's on our Instagram.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So see
Brilliant.
you tonight.
Guys, have a lovely day. Stay safe and keep looking at the community tab, and I'll notify you as soon as the Sunday show starts to upload.
Somebody's saying, how cool is the squeezing of shorting stocks?
Oh my God, it's
Mark's
so
loving this
cool.
story.
I love the fact that the small man is giving the big man a huge squeeze of the old knackers.
Yeah.
All right,
and
guys.
yesterday they had the guy that the Wolf of
Oh,
Wall Street
yeah,
was
who,
written
let's face it,
about, and
isn't-
he's loving
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
He's
every-
like, I didn't think this could happen.
Yeah,
I
everyone-
didn't think this was a
Everyone's relishing
possibility."
it. Everyone's really relishing it. All right, guys, have a lovely day. Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe.